Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
How long does a backup hold back?
And we've got Chris.
Are you the dreamer or merely part of someone else's dream? That's just the question that Tweedledee put to Alice.
Oh, that's a long quote. Oh my, that's the longest quote we've ever had. My goodness. And I'm Kia.
You're
Welcome
supposed
to the
to
show.
cut me off, so good job.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention.
You're as mad as
welcome to the show. I'm Kia. I don't remember if I already said that. We are. Do we change the name of this show to Some of My Friends Watch Comics for this one? Because we are watching comics. I guess we're watching a TV show. We need to make some changes.
Two TV shows. We read one comic too.
We did. All right. So we are celebrating the life of Kevin Conroy, who passed away recently. He was very famously the voice of Batman throughout the animated series. He kept being the voice of Batman when they did the Justice League cartoon. Then they did the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, which continued off of that. And Kevin Conroy was still the voice. He's
Did he do
Batman
Beyond Old Bruce Wayne too?
Yes.
I believe he did. Yeah.
Nice.
What else?
I know
pretty much anything Batman.
He was on a podcast with Will Friedle like 6 months ago where they were talking, and it is just funny to hear them talk to each other.
TV's Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World, and also
That's right.
Terry. I can't remember Terry's.
Yeah, Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was wondering where that was.
Yeah,
right.
Corey's dumb brother was the Batman Beyond. And also Ron Stoppable, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Kevin Conroy, who also got to play Batman in live action when the CW did like its own Crisis on Infinite Earths with all the different CW properties. I think they got. I want to say they crossed over with like the Flash show from the 90s. I think Brandon Routh showed up as Superman, even though he played the Atom on whatever their DC.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
because I like to be insufferable when people ask me who my favorite Batman is, and I'll say Kevin Conroy.
And then when they
say no, I mean live action Batman, I can say yeah.
Yeah, look him up. I'll definitely put it in the chat, but definitely look him up. It's him like in a suit, like in the kind of like later Batman Beyond mech suit, because I think he was older.
It is him playing old man Bruce Wayne Batman. And yeah, he also voiced Batman in the Arkham games, in all those DC, well, not all of them, but for a long time, he was the voice in all the DC Universe movies. So, I mean, 25 years of being the voice of Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I'm sure an open invitation to have always been Batman whenever he wanted, if it come to that. Yeah.
So we're going to watch a couple of episodes that were just, interesting episodes that we thought would be good. The first is Perchance to Dream, which was one of his favorites. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope we're not here to shit on them, because he said that they were two favorites of his. So
we're not going to shit on them. No way. Perchance to Dream, one of his favorite episodes. And then This Little Piggy from Justice League Unlimited. And then, of course, we are kind of starting our long read of Knightfall, the whole Batman getting his back broken by Bane. We read The Vengeance of Bane last time, like a preview of who Bane kind of is and all that. And now we are getting into Knightfall proper with Batman 492. Let's start talking about some cartoons here. We talked about Batman the Animated Series once before, the Christmas episode, right? Forever ago?
Yes, we did.
Well, we haven't talked about the cartoons ever since, though. Right?
We have not. I mean, we bring it up when we talk about like Ra's al Ghul stories and stuff, and like tangentially. But the only one we did cover was, I guess, Christmas time, just like this. It was, and then we did. I want to say we did the animated series. We did it for the Joker's first appearance episode, I think, for Christmas. But then we also covered the Batman animated series comic, Mad Love. That was real early in the run of the show, with Joker and Harley. That animated series comic is supposed to be pretty darn good, because I think some of it's actually drawn by Bruce Timm. I don't know if we'll ever cover it for the show, but definitely check it out. It's on DC Universe or your local library. Check out those compendiums. They're fun, done in ones with great art.
All right, well, let's get into it. Perchance to Dream, Batman the Animated Series, Season 1, Episode 26. We start with a little car chase sequence. Batman's the Batmobile, chasing down some goons. They're like throwing barrels of oil or something at him. He chases them to a factory where they're at, and he gets inside. He gets like jumped and attacked, and we're like, oh, man, this is it for Batman. And then he wakes up. Whew. All right, it was all just a dream. Thank goodness. but like instantly stuff feels weird. Like I haven't watched the animated series in a little while, but his room, his bed, just like it all looks a little weird. He's got a Kandinsky hanging over his bed.
Oh, really?
Which I don't know if it's a real Kandinsky, but it's definitely like meant to kind of look like it.
Like
I feel like I would have
Wayne of this spoiler alert of alternate universe Bruce Wayne, where his parents didn't die, would have been into buying fine art, whereas I don't think our Bruce Wayne would give a shit.
Something like that.
Is that what it's meant to
and it's like, it just overall looks more modern, right? It's just like not his same bedroom. And he wakes up and Alfred's like talking about meeting Selina Kyle or something like that, and Bruce gives some kind of a weird answer, and Alfred's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go make breakfast."
Yeah, he's like, "What happened? Did Robin bring me back?" And he's like, "Who's Robin?"
And then Bruce tries to go into the Batcave. He's like trying to push this grandfather clock out of the way, and it's not budging. And he's like, "Alfred, what the heck is going on? Where's the secret entrance to the Batcave?" And Alfred, like Batcave. Bruce, what are you talking?
And then he insists that Alfred like sealed it up. Like,
yeah, I really love this scene where he's talking like Alfred is crazy. He's like, the Batcave, the big giant cave underground where the Batmobile is and all that. And it's like, what? And then his parents come in. Oh shit! Now we know shit's going off the rails here. Bruce's parents are alive.
Also voiced by Kevin Conroy.
Also voiced by Kevin Conroy, just kind of putting on an old man voice.
Yeah, just pitching down a little bit and talking slower.
Now, son, is everything okay?
They should have cast you instead of.
They really should have, yeah. Never mind. I am going to shit on Kevin Conroy. Should have given me his job.
Only 8-year-old Kia. 8-year-old Kia needed that job.
I could have done it better.
But only as the dad.
Yes, just the dad. I don't want to be Batman. That's too much pressure. So his dad's like a doctor. He's like checking Bruce's eyes and stuff. He was like, "Hey man, you okay?" Yeah, just weird stuff going on. He asks Alfred to just kind of like tell him about his life. And he's like, "Well, when your dad retired, you became the head of Wayne Enterprises. Lucius Fox really runs the place, but like, yeah, you could do it if you wanted to." He's like, it's okay, Alfred, I get it. He's engaged to Selina Kyle. And he's like, "Man, none of this is right. This is all messed up." Then we see Bruce at work. I don't know what he's doing there. He's just like sitting at his desk with his briefcase open, just like holding a pen, not really doing anything. I don't think he knows.
He's a CEO. That's what he does. Yeah, no meetings, just sitting there.
Just sit there. And Selina comes in.
This is not that different than like Bruce Wayne actually going to the office in like Batman Begins. It's really not that much different.
It's very much like that. And Selina's there, and he's being a little standoffish with her, and she's like, "Man, what's going on?"
So for me, I've not watched much of the animated series. I've watched maybe like 5 or 6 episodes ever. I was very thrown that Selina was blonde, which I guess she was based off of Michelle Pfeiffer from the Batman movie, Returns movie that came out probably a couple months earlier than this episode. I was very thrown by Selina being blonde, though. I was not ready for it. So
makes sense.
It's a weird note. Yeah, this is a oddly sexual scene in Batman the Animated Series because it's Adrienne Barbeau, so she's already got like a sexy voice, and she's like, "Oh, your mother sent me over, and who better to cheer you up than the woman you're going to marry?" And she like takes her glove off and like drapes it over his head.
And he's just like turns his head away.
The first half of this episode, I am very into. I think this is a pretty good like Elseworld story. It's showing like how Batman's life would be different if like his big major catastrophe didn't happen. Same as like a Spider-Man story if Uncle Ben didn't die. Those kind of stories. I think it does a really good job of doing all those things. You're right, though. It doesn't feel like a children's story at all. Like it's all like, here's what this rich kid's life would be like. He'd be rich and kind of disconnected and be dating a attractive woman, and they'd be having a healthy relationship. Like,
yeah, I remember season 1 of Batman. They Fox probably stupidly programmed the Adam West show right before the animated series on like weekdays in my market.
Okay,
and I would watch the Adam West show, and then I would watch the animated series and be like, I don't like this one. Like,
right,
the Adam West one is easy to follow. Like, I know what's going on.
I called him the Blue Batman when when like the Keaton movie started coming out. I'm like, the Blue Batman I don't like the long pointy haired black-eared Batman. I don't like him.
Too serious.
And then the cartoon I watched the first episode of it, which I know it's the Man Bat episode thing, but I saw the Catwoman episode first. But I was like, I'm not feeling this vibe. And so I never went back to it. That was really like the end of it. I watched one episode. I'm like, this is not the Batman I want. Give me Adam West again.
Yeah, because this is all about a upset, billionaire, and Batman was in the first 30 seconds, and then he's gone for like 20 minutes.
It's a good Bruce Wayne story, which I can understand why Kevin Conroy would like this, because it actually tells Bruce Wayne's story, which is I think rare for these type of adventures.
Yeah, I love this episode, but I do see like from the Fox like marketing point of view, it's like, look, we're trying to sell toys here. Like what?
Yeah, what is it? Well, all right. So this next scene does seem like designed to remedy that a little bit because, Bruce is talking to Selina. He's like, I'm remembering this life where and she finishes the sentence with Batman because they see Batman swinging around outside. And Bruce is like, what? And he like runs out there. And Selina follows her. And they just
love it.
watch
He's such
Batman.
a fan of Batman.
Yeah, they just watch Batman do like a big old fight scene. It's actually like it's more of Batman just straight up fighting three goons than I feel like we kind of see in most episodes, where he's just like doing a really nice, tidy job, like cleaning everybody up, like they're crashing a car, catching everybody in there, flipping around, all this. And Selina's like, man, he's amazing. And Bruce is like, yeah, he is.
Which this episode doesn't go that way, but this is where I was like on board with like the super Elseworlds. I'm like, what would the Batman of this world look like if it wasn't Bruce Wayne? And he was like, yeah, he's like very efficient in like his crime fighting. People seem to like him. This is cool.
It is so funny that you really didn't see where this. I guess if you don't watch the show, it's because the Mad Hatter theme is playing, like it plays over the credits and then it plays like 3 times. So it's like it. As a kid, I was surprised, obviously, but as an adult, I'm like, yeah, they foreshadow this pretty hard.
Well, I knew that like he was like faked, like this was a fake world, like and he was having like a dream of that kind of stuff. I didn't realize he was gonna be fighting himself, and quite frankly, I don't like multiverse stories or Elseworld stories where they know it's an Elseworld and they spend half the runtime trying to get out of it. I don't like that. I just want to see what the world's like. I don't want to see them trying to like fight it. Which is what this turns into.
It does. I feel like it struck a nice balance, though.
But again, it's not an Elseworld story. It is literally he's just in a dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Perchance.
So he goes home and talks to his mom. Mom's like a psychiatrist, and she's like, you've been living a life where everything's been handed to you.
This was Tompkins, not his mom.
Oh,
I know Tompkins.
Yeah. I really thought that was his mom, though. Damn. Okay.
His mom voiced by Adrienne Barbeau. So some weird stuff going on in Bruce Wayne.
So the psychiatrist Tompkins says you've been living a life where everything's been handed to you, so your unconscious has created a more satisfying life, and you're disassociating, and you think you're Batman. And Bruce is like, wow, you know what? I think that's true. And he's like, he goes home and he's cured, and he's like all chummy with his parents and Alfred. And he's like, hey, Alfred, you ever find that secret entrance to the Batcave? Well, good, or else we'd both be crazy. And he's like, oh, my life is great. My life's like a dream, the best dream ever. Oh. And then he tries to read the newspaper, and it's all jumbled up words. And he's like, what? No. And he's like going crazy. He's looking in the books on the shelf and he's like throwing them on the ground.
I noticed on this rewatch, the jewelry store, stand over the store was also gibberish. I never noticed it before. So you could see even before Bruce realizes it, that the language doesn't work.
Interesting.
I've heard that. I don't know if that's true. Like I've heard like you can't look at your phone and you can't read in your dreams. And I absolutely like looked at my phone like last week in my dream. And like
I don't know why you couldn't look at your phone.
I think they say like Waking Life said like digital screens don't work and digital clocks don't work or some shit like that. The movie Waking Life, which is all about dreaming.
Well, maybe that was according to like 20 years ago humans who aren't as used to screens or something. I don't know.
And
the reading one I kind of get because it's like your brain is making meaning out of symbols. Whereas when you're asleep, it's basically just like auto translating for you. So it is like you're just seeing like what the thing is, it's not a, I'm doing a bad job of explaining this in terms of semiotics, but you're seeing the sign itself. You're not seeing the sign of the sign. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you just know what it means. But if you're actually like, how would you spell that? You would be like,
and that way I'm not like lucid enough in my dreams to be able to like probably like actively spell stuff, but I would be absolutely like my dream character would be able to spell stuff and they'd be like, yeah, he spelled it, even though I probably didn't, like,
yeah. I mean, we're all kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but Batman later does cite this as the moment he realizes that it had to be a dream, just because you can't read in a dream. What does he say? It's like dreaming is a function of the left brain, and reading is a function of the right brain. I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Which I think is backwards, but whatever. The point is, Batman knows something is wrong.
Yeah. So he sees a news story about the Batman. He throws a statue at the TV. His parents are all worried about him, and he just like runs out of the house. He goes and he he parks right in front of like a supply store, and he buys a flare gun and some flares and a grappling hook.
I love how crazy he sounds when he's like, I need a flare gun and some flares.
And especially if he's like realizing it at this point, like, I mean, chill a little bit, but it's a dream. He's having a hard time controlling himself, maybe. Some cops stop him because he's parked illegally in front of the store. They ask for his ID. They're like, Bruce, your parents are worried about you. Could you come with us? He's like, yeah, okay, but not now. And he like jumps over the car and runs out of there. And he kind of gets in a little chase with the cops and eventually loses them. He runs to a graveyard and climbs to the top of some tower there.
I love one of the cops he runs away from is like, that guy moves like Batman.
And he's calling out for Batman at this tower. He goes, you did this to me. Batman shows up and they fight for a little bit. Batman taunts him and was like, hey,
it's a really good fight scene. Like, there's like thunder and lightning. It looks really good.
And I really love this scene where they're talking to each other, because it is just Kevin Conroy talking to Kevin Conroy, and Batman just sounds like kind of mean a little bit. And it's like, Bruce, you need professional help.
You're not well, Bruce.
You're not well. Yeah, it's good. And this is when Bruce tells him, like, I realized it was a dream when I tried to read, and I came up to this tower because I know it's a part of my regular patrol, so I knew I'd see you here. And the cops have showed up at the graveyard, and they're trying to get to the top of this tower. And then Batman, Bruce is like, who are you? And Batman demasks, and it's the Mad Hatter under there. And they have a conversation about how he is asleep. And all right, this part's a little weird. So the Mad Hatter does have Batman under like a sleeping spell kind of thing. And the Bruce in the sleeping world has deduced that it must be the Mad Hatter and has created this vision of him in his dream, which, that makes sense and everything. It's a very interesting kind of meta thing. And I'm also like wondering, like, what if Bruce in the dream was wrong? Like, what if he thought it was the Riddler and then it turned out to be the Mad Hatter or vice versa or something like that? Like, that'd be interesting.
Well, it seems like he's almost like a failsafe in the Matrix, though, because like he explains the rules to
there's something like that.
Batman. As I love it too, because after he unmasks, he's just like they cut away and they cut back, and he's just the Mad Hatter. Like no Batman costume. Yeah. His body is completely different. Like it's just like, no, I'm the Mad Hatter now.
And Batman's like, you know what? There is a way out of this. As these cops come up and they see him, and Bruce Wayne decides he's going to jump off the tower and kill himself, and that's going to wake him up. And it works. And he wakes up and he's got like this mind control helmet thing on his head. He's in Mad Hatter's lab. He's pissed. Hatter's like, yeah, I did it because I just wanted you out of my hair. So I wanted you to give you the perfect life so that you just stay in there forever. Good plan.
Roddy McDowall is the voice of Mad Hatter. I think he's amazing, and he's only in the last
he's really 2
minutes, but he's so good at the end. Also, I mean, he's been dead for 20 some years, but amazing voice actor. He's actually in the original Batman Adam West show we mentioned earlier. But yeah, he's so good. I love how desperate he is when Batman shows up, where he's like, "Why would you do this?" And he's like, "You would ask me." He's just like having a nervous breakdown immediately.
All these voice actors, and but in both these shows we're watching, they're all just so good. Just perfect casting overall. But yeah, that's basically the end of this. What happens? He beats
Andrea
up
Romano
or whatever.
Yeah, Andrea Romano, great voice caster.
Yeah. But that's pretty much the episode here. Yeah, it's an ambitious episode for sure. It's not like a kid's cartoon. I know it technically is, but it doesn't like feel like one at all. Yeah, Vince, it sounds like you're the one who maybe liked this one the least just because of the ground it covered here.
Right.
How'd you feel about it by the end?
I was mediocre on it by the back half of it. I really liked the front half of it, and then the back half of it was just kind of like, oh, it's just Bruce Wayne kind of like by himself, and I'm not really. I think, and this is where I get in trouble with all these types of episodes, is I want alternate universe stories to help me learn about this character in an alternate universe. And I know it's not an alternate universe, it's a dream. But I don't think it gave me much insight into Bruce Wayne's character after like the first like 10 minutes. Like of who he is, how he would be different if he was in this situation, how he's challenged by this. It just is him like running and going back to like his old business, which I guess is a thing for Batman. But...
yeah, I feel like that's like what it had to be, because I don't know how else you get out of that without
Right. I don't know. Yeah, he just wakes up, and it's just like
he's like, oh,
Wizard of Oz,
no.
and she's like, oh, I solved my problem, and now I'm going back home. Bruce, wake up. Are you okay? I did like the end though. Mad Hatter's like, I just want you out of my hair. Like, like I don't really give a shit. Like, you could live in this world, and I'd be perfectly happy just having you brainwashed. It'd be fine.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it that it's. I think on the surface, it's that it's a cartoon where Batman has to keep existing or whatever. But it's like this isn't what Bruce's like dream world would be. Like he would be so bored. Like he doesn't like this. Mm-hmm. Like he would if his parents were alive, he would be like a bad boy. Like he would be out there, like racing jet skis and like doing crazy stuff to like try to get adrenaline. Because like he likes being Batman, like it gave him it pointed him in a direction where he could like be a crazy person in a productive way.
Right. Whereas like, I mean, like the question of like, would Peter Parker, if Uncle Ben didn't die and he didn't learn that lesson, would he just be this like shithead Spider-Man? The whole time, like never learning power and responsibility, or would he get there eventually?
Right.
And I think that's a question.
Interesting.
I don't know. But animated series wise, I really like the music. It's really good.
Oh yeah, music's
voice acting
is
great.
They had like a real, orchestra together for this whole era of animation. Like it's every time they're doing like blending Batman themes with other themes or anything like that, it's like there's really people playing these instruments. It sounds great.
Right. And this era of animation, we specifically mean this era of like Warner Brothers television animation. Between like Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Freakazoid, and then
honestly, Warner Brothers animation forever up to a point.
I guess that's true.
But especially after like Roger Rabbit, when they put a lot more money into it than they ever had, and then Disney gets much better. Like Disney makes Gargoyles to be like, we have to make something good like this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got dark for a little while.
Everybody get dangerous.
Yep. But anyway, so that was Perchance to Dream. I love this episode. Again, it is funny because it's just like it's such a weirdly structured. As a kid, if you don't know who the Mad Hatter is, you're like, what?
Right. I was like, it was him? Okay. Yeah. I mean, all right, sure.
Yeah, I really loved it a lot too. It's I do feel like the animated series is a little overrated overall, but I still love it. And this is one of my favorite episodes for sure. It's so good.
It's great. I do love. People need to go watch the bad episodes of Batman the Animated Series to like
There's
remember
a lot of bad episodes.
Yeah, to remember that it's not all like this. There's plenty of really stupid ones. But I love the show. Like I rewatched it on Blu-ray probably 2 or 3 years ago. Great show. And again, there's enough scenes that really affect me emotionally that it makes up for the like really janky animated episodes or the just Batman fights a stupid villain of the week, like the lizard or the guy who has crocodiles and steals orphans. Or I've got Batman in my basement.
The first episode being Man-Bat is also just like very weird. Like that's a questionable first episode.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not convinced that it aired first, but maybe just not in my market, or they marketed like when the first one they aired on a Saturday was the Catwoman episode, or the first one I was paying attention.
Yeah, I think some of the early ones they did were I mean, the Catwoman episodes of the first season are almost all bad. So they had the Cat and Claw two-parter that's not good.
Yeah.
Although it does have an early appearance of Captain Janeway's Russian accent.
Oh, fun.
From Orange is the New Black.
I like the Gray Ghost episode though. The one that actually has Adam West in it. I like that episode.
That's good. That's a good one.
That's an amazing that one not only has Adam West, it has Bruce Timm as the bad guy. But we should move on. I love this episode, obviously. It sounded like Vince was a little more on the fence overall, but liked it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So let's move on to Justice League Unlimited. So just like a tiny little bit of history there. They made this Justice League cartoon in the early 2000s or something, and they had like 7 core heroes for the Justice League that it followed, and then eventually they kind of branched it out into Justice League Unlimited so that they could include more heroes and just kind of like kind of focus on whoever they wanted to. It did become a little bit more of like a just a random episode of the week kind of thing.
And I watched this, so there's like a Hawk and Dove episode, which I don't think would have fit within the confines of the original Justice League cartoon, but when they expanded to Unlimited, did.
Yeah. It's a great direction. They can do lots of weird episodes, like the question episode, or this episode, frankly, because this is a weird one.
Right. They did Whatever Happened to the Man, or what can you give for the Man Who Has Everything, or whatever that is that we covered. That was in Unlimited.
Yes, that's a good one. I mean, that one's just a straight adaptation of Alan Moore's story, so it's not surprising that it's good. But this is more of a comedy episode than most of the show. But it's fun. So
it retained the same cast, and like Bruce Timm is still involved. I think Dwayne McDuffie is now a lot more influential than he was. I don't think he was actually in those.
Right by this point.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. So the episode is called This Little Piggy. I believe it's season 1, episode 5 is what I saw here.
5 or 6.
So we have Batman and Wonder Woman. They're like staking out a heist that they've got a tip on. Wonder Woman is hitting on Batman like pretty blatantly. And Batman's like, dating coworkers, never a good idea. Plus, I've got my issues, so no.
And she goes, he said, I'm a rich kid with issues. That's why it'll never work.
Yeah.
And then he said like, you're a immortal princess. I'm like, that's a valid reason. I'm like
that is a valid reason.
And then he goes, like, they might try to use you to get to me. And it's like, I'm fucking Wonder Woman. Like, that doesn't really, that doesn't hold water to me, but okay. They also got super flirty earlier in the season. I saw this when they all got turned into children.
Yeah.
That was a really good episode.
That's sort of the prequel episode to this when they all become kids, because they had always sort of flirted on the Justice League show, but that episode was really they seem to have a thing.
Yeah. And then the burglar alarm goes off, and they're like, okay, gotta cut that conversation short. And they show up. They think it's just like a regular burglar, but it is Cersei.
Oh, and pause here for a sec though. It also instantly knows it's not Danny Elfman music. It's like this weird electric guitar right when they go into this fight scene. Oh yeah. And I was like, I don't know about this.
That's the theme, yeah.
The Justice League Unlimited theme.
Because it was like I watched these back to back, and like this one was widescreen on my 4K TV. The colors looked great. The backgrounds were very detailed. They were a little more like 3D, so they didn't have that kind of like Art Deco. But they looked, the colors popped really, really nice in 4K still off of HBO Max. And then that electric guitar is like, well, that was not an upgrade from 1992. Okay.
Well, at least they don't have the Justice League, the original series CGI animated intro. That was like 2002 era CGI on a TV budget where it just looked horrible.
I don't know. Those little paintings of them just kind of like whooshing across the screen for this theme song was kind of a mess too. But
yeah, it's not great, but it's better than that one. And the theme is not great. But anyway,
I kind of like the theme. The theme grew on me because I know I watched a lot of this fairly recently. I was into it. But enough about the music. We'll get back to the music.
They see a robbery and they're like, oh, we thought this was going to be like something important and not just random goons.
At the Iceberg Lounge,
random goon. What?
They were at the Iceberg Lounge, which is like the Penguins, like little.
Oh, is that where they were?
Yeah, that's where they were staking out.
Okay.
Which is
And so Cersei, at first I wrote down that this was the Enchantress, and then I remembered that that's Marvel.
No,
does
Enchantress
Cersei have
is
another
DC.
name?
Enchantress is DC because she was the villain of Suicide Squad, the first one.
She's in both.
And this is Enchantress, right?
And no, this is Cersei.
This is
Damn it.
Cersei.
Okay.
But not.
All right. I thought
But
they were the
does
same
she
person.
look like she has
All right.
an Eternals costume? But that's not the Cersei from Eternals. I know
Okay.
that.
So we're just gonna call her Cersei, because that's her name, and she is out of hell now because hell was too full, and she got out on like good behavior or something, and promised not to go after Hippolyta, who was Wonder Woman's mom. But she didn't say anything about going after Wonder Woman herself. And they fight for a little bit until Cersei decides to turn Wonder Woman into a pig. Cool.
Which I don't know if y'all have seen DC League of Super Pets, the animated movie that came out this year. But no. Crypto the Superdog's in it. Ace the Bat Dog is in it, and Wonder Woman's pet is a pig. And I don't know where this like pig and Wonder Woman stuff comes from because it seems very weird to see in two different places.
It could be from this. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. So Bruce goes to Zatanna for help. Zatanna's putting on a magic show, and she's like, her first trick that we see is some basic chop up a dude, move the boxes around, put them back together trick. You've seen that trick a million times. And then she closes the show with the wildest fucking trick I've ever seen in my goddamn life, where she's like, all right, I'm going to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And she sticks her hand in there.
People are like, boo, boo.
And then a giant hand comes down into the audience, and people are freaking out. She plucks someone out of the audience, and a tiny version of that dude gets pulled out of the hat, and she drops him on the floor and makes him big. What the fuck?
David Blaine never did this.
If I was at this show, I'd be losing my mind. And people are just standing up and clapping. Like, what the? No, this is messed up. This is messed up. It's really kind of freaky.
Illusion, Michael.
Batman talks to her backstage and was like, "Was that a trick, or was it like just was it real magic, or what was it?" And she's like, "It's not even clear what he was asking about, because clearly she did both. She was sometimes using just like regular stuff and sometimes whatever."
How they do that? Don't know though.
So he's got the pig there, and they're like, yeah, I need your help undoing the spell. And she kind of tries it and it doesn't work. She's like, yeah, Cersei's magic must be too powerful. Why don't we call in Dr. Fate? And Batman's like, no, let's just keep it between us for now. And Zatanna's like, well, why don't we want to call Dr. Fate? Oh, is this because you two are an item? And he's like, no, we're just friends. I was a little confused what Dr. Fate had anything to do with it. It's like, why couldn't he help turn Wonder Woman back to human?
He just wants to keep it on the DL
by calling like all these other scrubs. Like Dr.
Fate, other scrubs later. Yeah, it's weird.
Dr. Fate probably already fucking knows.
Maybe there was something else going on earlier in the season with Dr. Fate. I don't know.
You're
right. He probably does already know. He's smart, man. That guy.
He can see everything. He probably knows whether or not they actually stay together.
Well. That's okay. Then they decide, all right, let's just find Cersei instead. Maybe she can undo it. Then we get a little dance number with Cersei, which doesn't have a lot of context to it at this point. I didn't know if this was like in her head or if there was an audience there, but she seems to have taken over a club, and she's got a bunch of backup dancers there for her. She's singing Lulu's Back in Town, and it's a pretty nice number.
Type of
it's a good number. There's no audience applause or anything afterwards. Just cuts to another scene. We have Batman and Zatanna. They go to some magic artifact dealer who's a little bit of a jerk. He wants like a valuable coin from the Ming Dynasty in exchange for like a dragon scale of some sort.
He's the only dragon scale dealer in the entire dimension.
Yeah.
But
Zatanna's like, well, come on, this is highway robbery. I could just like whip one up out of nowhere. And he's like, can you? He's like, nah, I don't think you could. So they make the deal. Zatanna tries like a locator spell to find Cersei, and she casts the spell, and then she tells Batman like the spell works better forwards than backwards, and Batman's just like, whatever. He does not care. I think that made me laugh more than anything else in this episode. Batman's just like does not care how Zatanna's spell works.
I think the line that made me laugh. Well, there's another one, but one of my favorites was when Zatanna, when he's like, no, we're just work friends. She's like, no, we're work friends. You wouldn't do this for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so good. I also thought it was really funny, like when Wonder Woman and Batman were talking earlier, they were talking about like dating. They never said the word relationship. They only said dating. Like, we can't be dating. And I thought that was just like a weird word twist they stuck on. But yeah, I love that. I love that Zatanna moment. That was really funny.
Yeah, we haven't really mentioned, in case you don't know, Zatanna, all of her spells work by just like saying the word backwards, and that's how she does things. But I guess this spell was too complicated. She had to
because like she said like back to normal for the guy when she made him big, but it was spelled in the closed captioning like KCABOT, LA, whatever, however normal spelled backwards.
I could not understand most of the words she was saying except for this next one. So the spell does not work. They are not able to locate Cersei. And the guy's like, too bad, no refunds. And Diana the pig has run away as well. Oh, no. And they're like, all right,
they
we got to
did
go
show a
chase after
scene of
her.
Batman tying her up, which I don't know why they needed to do. Because I guess somebody might ask, like, why didn't you tie up the pig? It's like, 'cause she's my friend. I'm not going to put a little roper on her neck. God damn it. Shut up.
Well, that just buries Batman and his ability to tie knots. Come on, man.
But she's got does she have Wonder Woman powers as a pig? She just has
at least some of them.
She's wearing the bracers for sure on her wrists, which is the best part of the whole thing, I think, of her just like being a pig wearing these metal bracers.
Yep.
But Zatanna, on her way running out the door, she says "Denufer," like refund backwards, and she gets her coin back.
I think that's kind of a dick move. Like, she did use.
It is a little bit, yeah.
She did use the product that she purchased, and it didn't work out the way she wanted. But that happens sometimes.
That's not his fault. That's not his fault.
I sometimes use consumables in an RPG battle and still die, but I can't ask for a refund.
You can reload your save.
Yeah, maybe you should try. Ask that Resident Evil merchant.
Yeah, I'll go with Denufer, and I'll be like, "What are you talking about, man?"
That's not working. So then they meet this other guy who I didn't catch his name at first. I thought they said Iguana Beast, but it's a Bowana.
Bowana, yeah.
Bowana. I don't think I've ever heard of this guy.
He doesn't seem like he does a very good job.
Yeah, he also, like, I don't know if he's supposed to be from, like, an African country or something, like the name suggests. He sounds like a very American kind of a jerk a little bit, but I don't know. He is hitting on Zatanna pretty hardcore. She's like, my legs are fine, so is the rest of my body. I'm up here. She's not having any of it. But he's going to contact some friends, and they're going to track down this pig. And we see, I do like this little montage. We got Red Tornado, who flies down into the middle of the street, and then he goes, Suey. We have Elongated Man holding up some flyers. There's a masked guy I didn't recognize here. He shows up at just a random home with a flyer, and it goes, excuse me, sir, I'm looking for a pig. It goes, Gladys, it's for you. Terrible joke.
Crimson Avenger is what.
Crimson Avenger. That's right. I do know that guy. That's one of my favorite things though about Justice League Unlimited. You do get to see all the little random superheroes that are all throughout the universe, and they get their little moment to shine.
Right.
Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't Animal Man. I guess Animal Man has too much baggage, but that's who I would have picked.
I feel like I remember
Buana Beast is in Grant Morrison's Animal Man.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but I would have thought it would be the Animal Man,
I remember seeing Animal Man in one of these Justice League Unlimited episodes. I think he's in one.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
Yeah. So then Buana Beast finds the pig. He finds Diana running after it, and he's talking to Bruce on the comm or whatever. He's like, "Yep, I've got her, and any second now I'll be able to bring her right back to you." And the pig goes through a hole in a fence and ends up in a literal, I guess a pigsty. It's a whole butcher shop where they've got their pigs in some fenced in area, and there's tons of pigs there. And Buana Beast has no idea which one is Diana anymore.
Is this also, Gotham City still? Why do they have a pig processing plant?
Yes. That's open in the middle of the night. And
it's the factory district of Gotham. Shit's going down all over the factory district.
Well, they really need to fix that hole in the fence because all these pigs could get out.
Look, there's a lot of stuff that's not well secured in Gotham factories. I think
it's true. It's true. They really OSHA needs to get to work on Gotham.
So So Bawana Beast is looking through all these pigs. I don't know what happens to him afterwards because I think that's the last we see of him. That he's just eternally looking through pigs.
He's supposed to be able to talk to animals, is what it looks
Yeah.
like. He drank drank like radioactive water or contaminated water at Mount Kilimanjaro, and then now he can talk to animals. That's his power.
I like he's describing Wonder Woman. It's like, come on, new, has bracers, kind of stuck up.
That pig is stuck up.
So meanwhile, Zatanna and Batman go down to, is this like the River Styx? They're going to meet Medusa there to get some info about Cersei in exchange for leniency on Medusa's sentence. Great.
Friend of the show, Karen, making his return back to back.
You teased him last episode, Chris.
Yep.
And this is what it's like. I know Karen. Yeah, that's awesome. I know him.
And they learn from Medusa that Cersei always wanted a headline at the amphitheater because she's jealous of her cousins, the Sirens. Great.
Is that Tress MacNeille, by the way? Was that Medusa?
It's not Tress MacNeille. It's it was one of the SNL 80s actors.
Oh, really?
Who was that? It was Lorraine Newman.
Okay. All right.
Okay. She did a good job.
She's doing like an old lady voice.
Yeah. She earns 300 years off of her sentence, and she goes, "Oh, freedom in 4010, ring a ding ding." Then they have to tip Karen a few coins afterwards for a service charge. And
I wasn't sure if he was shrugging as like, like I think he was looking for money, but at the first I thought he was just shrugging at her ring a ding ding line. Like,
Batman,
Justice said that because they had the scales of justice with the scales of justice there, and she was like, "Y'all have done good work in my name, and that's why I'll help you."
What does Medusa say? Like, hey, tell her to bring back my hair curlers if you see her.
Curling iron or whatever.
Yeah. So meanwhile, back at the slaughterhouse, these butchers start leading all the pigs into the where they're gonna butcher them, whatever you call that area. And Wonder Woman's like, oh boy, what have I gotten myself into here? And the Wonder Pig runs away. And one of the butchers starts chasing her down. She keeps on evading, so this butcher grabs a shotgun. Man.
There's vats of chemicals here, man.
Yeah.
He wants to become a supervillain.
Why are there vats of chemicals in
maybe they're beer stills? I don't know what they are. I don't honestly know what.
They got a lot of barrels of
pigs.
Something.
Big metal barrels of stuff.
So meanwhile, now Cersei is performing in front of a crowd, and
he shoots at Wonder Pig.
He does shoot at Wonder Pig. That comes later.
Okay.
So Cersei is performing in front of a crowd, and Zatanna shows up. And again, I didn't hear what the spell was, but all this furniture starts getting like thrown at her, like tables and like a grand piano crashes on her. You mentioned the Wizard of Oz earlier. They do a little Wizard of Oz gag where Cersei's shoes are sticking out and they curl up under the piano.
Yep.
And she gets up and she's like, all right, all my backup dancers got to protect me. She turns them into tigers and panthers and they attack.
Are they ever turned back?
I don't believe so. There's a lot of people I'm curious about what happened to them after this episode. So back at the butcher's place, this butcher is hunting Diana, corners her. He shoots at her and she raises up the armbands and deflects them. And that's another genuine laugh out loud moment right there. Then he shoots again and gets toppled by a bunch of barrels. But then immediately all the other butchers catch her, and one of them gives a little "that'll do, pig," and they tie her up.
They hog tie her.
Throw her on the conveyor belt. This is either a really long conveyor belt or a really slow conveyor belt, because she is headed directly into these blades now.
And the timing doesn't seem to make sense because the next scene takes a really long time. Like they're not happening in parallel.
Not at all. No. Batman and Zatanna are fighting off these animals, and finally, Batman tells Cersei that I understand that magic always has a price, which I really liked. I'm glad that it just kind of like how it did have a through line here with the artifact guy and Charon needing the coins. It's like, all right, what would I have to give for you to lift the spell? Cersei says, I want something that you've protected like crazy, something that you can never get back after you give it away, something soul-shattering. And I know it's meant to sound like his secret identity, but I kind of thought it sounded like she wanted his virginity. I don't know. But it was neither. Turns out she just wanted him to sing. So we see Batman get on stage and he sings "Am I Blue" in front of the club, and everyone is just so moved by this. Zatanna is crying, Cersei is crying, and they're like, "All right, so is that a deal, Cersei?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll lift the spell. He can stop now." And Zatanna says, "Not on your life." She wants him to keep singing.
What if Wonder Woman Pig had gotten killed? In just like 5 minutes span.
That's exactly what I was thinking. We do then see the pig go into the blades. Like the blades are hidden inside like a little I don't know, a shadowy.
They don't want to pay for the animation transformation. She's gonna go into a room and then come out Wonder Woman.
And then she busts out as Wonder Woman. Yeah. And everything is fine, and they get a little thank you. And what does Batman say? Like, "Oh, I've always had a hard time saying thank you," or something like that. Thank you, Zatanna, for her help. Yeah, real sweet episode. Real nice singing from Kevin Conroy. That's I think one of the reasons, of course, that this one stands out for him as a voice actor here. But did he ever? I don't know if he ever really like sang properly in any other episodes at all.
I don't. I know Batman Brave and the Bold, which isn't his Batman show, has all musical episode, kind of like the Buffy musical episode.
But that's Diedrich Bader Batman, not Kevin Conroy.
Right.
But yeah, really good.
Yeah. This episode covered a lot of ground. A lot of ground.
Yeah, it was a pretty standard like adventure episode with some fun comedy stuff in it. But yeah, a good episode nonetheless. And
is this how the rest of JLU is? Because I didn't like it like 15 years ago when I watched it on DVD. But this was, and I know I watched this episode, but this one was a lot of fun. Yeah. I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, they're hit or miss. Like JLU though, I think is better. Like you probably just started with Justice League, which is more just sort of like doing retelling of like big event sort of stuff.
And every episode in Justice League, I think, was a 2 or 3-parter as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there were any one and dones.
Yeah, so it's I think it could be a little fatiguing, the original Justice League, but JLU I think is a better show because it's just a lot of one and dones, a lot of like like I said, there's a great episode with the Question where he's basically like a conspiracy theorist crazy person.
I remember a Hawk and Dove episode, and I'm like, who are these people, and why am I spending 20 minutes with them? But I feel like now I would appreciate it a lot more, like than I would have 15 years ago when I just wanted to see like Green Lantern.
Yeah, where you were like, I want to see Superman punch something. Come on.
I'm not. It's not wrong. But now, like, this is kind of Brave and the Boldy. Like, I don't know how much he teamed up with Zatanna throughout this whole series, but I liked it a lot.
Nice. Yeah, it does show like how much bigger the DC animated universe got by the time of Justice League Unlimited, because it's like it is sort of a shared universe with the animated series. I mean, they crossed over Superman and Batman. And then Superman led directly into Justice League. So it's like, this is, in theory, the same guy, however many years later, after he's just fighting random guys.
And the final scene of Justice League Unlimited has an even like later version of Batman Beyond, when Terry McGinnis is a little more even grown up.
Oh yeah, I don't like that reveal. We don't have to now,
but I like that it exists, but I don't think it was executed well.
Yeah. Great episode. This was a lot of fun. I liked that the tone was different, that it's a little lighter, and there's some genuinely really funny bits of animation in this.
It looks great on HBO Max on my 4K TV, by the way. It looked great. It looked really good. Yep. I was surprised. I think they also probably got their animation studios a little more in order. I think the first season of Batman animated series, they're jumping between a lot of studios.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
They definitely. I mean, Bruce Timm kind of redesigns everybody in the Superman, Batman, like era in like 1998 or 9 or whatever, and simplifies everything so that I think it's harder to screw up design stuff. It also, some people don't like those. Like that's where Joker gets like black eyes, and everything is very like stylized.
I don't like those. I agree. I'm not a big fan of that Joker.
Yeah, you don't like Joker.
Well, just that a beady black-eyed Joker.
Yeah, I don't like that one. But I liked like the bat design. I never really liked that yellow circle from the movies. So the fact it's different. But
yeah, overall good stuff.
Watch more Justice League Unlimited. I think I might put it in front of Bruce. He's like super into Black Adam all of a sudden. So he loved that Black Adam movie, and so we've been watching like the other like animated universe movies, which I think Bruce Timm is like mildly involved in, but they're not like the Tim cast or the Timverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I should check these out. He'll probably like these.
But I think we are going to get onto our long read now, actual comic books here. That is Batman number 492 is what we're reading, the first issue of Knightfall. So we mentioned earlier we had read that Vengeance of Bane issue here. We got a sense of who Bane is. He just wants to come to Gotham and take out the big guy.
The Bat. I've been fighting magic bats in my dreams.
We did skip a few episodes that are like, the prequel, the prelude to all this, where Bane essentially busts everybody out of Arkham. And so this issue opens with that, where everyone's out of Arkham. They start with like a big screen where they're seeing everybody's faces on there. It's literally everyone. Batman's like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And then we see this. Who's the bird guy? Is his name just Bird?
Bird, yeah.
Bird.
Yeah,
all right, his name's just Bird, and he has a bird. And he is watching Mad Hatter drive around. Mad Hatter's back. We didn't plan this. We didn't really think about that this was going to be Mad Hatter and that one's going to be Mad Hatter.
Coast to coast Mad Hatter.
Yeah, Mad Hatter extravaganza. But Mad Hatter is like driving around a block over and over again, and Bird is just like watching him. He's like, I don't know what this guy's doing. And Mad Hatter's got his monkey in the car with him too. And then eventually Bird, who has been flying around, the monkey catches the bird, and Bird doesn't see this. And they put a tracker on the bird and they send it back. Okay, cool. Meanwhile, we have Bullock and Montoya. They're talking about how unpredictable all these villains are going to be because they're so crazy and they can't try to predict anything. And it's on the news as well. And they're talking about how these crimes are going to be so random and maybe they've got some grudges, but damn, it would suck to be Batman right now because they all hate Batman.
This is when the psychiatrist, Dr. Simpson Flanders, is interviewed.
Is that really his name?
Dr. Simpson Flanders?
This is what, like season 3 or 4 of The Simpsons at this point?
This is, I think, season 2 or 3.
Yeah. Wow. What was this, 92, 93 is what we said this issue was?
Was it 92, I think? Or we did 93 already?
March 93. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So we're at the December 92, January 93. But yeah, Simpson, very clearly a Simpsons reference because, yeah, he shows up, I think, in the prequel episode as like a feel-good, psychiatrist guy. He's like, these crazy people, as they're called, are just misunderstood. And they're like, what about the homicidal one?
Wow. So then Bruce and Robin get word that there is a tea party that the Mad Hatter is throwing. And they start to head out there because they imagine it's part of something. Bruce starts talking to Robin about basically he doesn't want the police involved. He doesn't even want Robin to really get involved all that much because these villains are so dangerous and there's so many of them. It just seems like a really bad idea. I feel like you need all the help you can get here, Batman. Batman does just look very haggard throughout this whole book. Gosh, I didn't write down the creative team at all. But who was
Doug mentioned Norm Bregfoyle. Norm Bregfoyle, I think his first drawing for Batman was the Ratcatcher and issues that we read by Alan Grant.
Yeah, that we just did.
Which probably, I think it was 89-ish. So we're seeing him again. And then Doug Mensch.
I really like his faces throughout this. I think the art is really nice.
Yeah. He does a really good job.
His Batman just does look tired and beaten down in this beard, issue.
Yeah. He's got the
I like that he just looks like he needs to shave.
Yeah.
That's how we are. And is Robin is this Tim Drake already?
This is Tim Drake, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we see this little tea party the Mad Hatter is throwing. He's invited a whole bunch of the escapees, and they show up, and they're like, "Hey, I thought we were here to kill Batman." And Mad Hatter's like, "Just put on these hats." And they're like, well, "No, we're not going to do that." And he threatens them. So they're like, "Okay, fine, we'll put on the hats." And then there's little mind control devices in the hats. So they all essentially have become Mad Hatter's puppets now, sitting at this tea party. Great.
Chris, you got to watch out for one of these guys, yeah.
There's one of the guy named Film Freak. Yep.
Yeah.
Got to watch out for him. I've never heard of Film Freak.
I think this is his only appearance.
No,
Really?
He's I would say C- list rogue, but he's in a few other. There's one issue that ends on a cliffhanger where Vicky Vale goes out to like a cabin, and I was like, boy, this cabin they're referencing, and then I was like, oh, this is Psycho, and then Film Freak.
Tries to kill Vicky Vale. His MO is to recreate famous movie deaths in his killings.
Yes.
Okay.
I will say that I think his earrings bump him up to at least a C+ villain. They're like little film reels. They're pretty good. I like them.
Yes. Don't get attached to old Film Freak.
So Film Freak gets this tracking device to go track the bird, and his job is to go kill whoever he finds there. Great.
His name is Burt Weston for Burt Ward and Adam West.
Wow. So then Bird is like in the hotel room, and he discovers this tracker, and he tells Bane about it, and they destroy it. Film Freak, meanwhile, has like showed up in front of the hotel, but then the trace dies, and so he's contacting Mad Hatter. Like, I don't know what to do. But Bane sees him down on the street corner, and he's like, all right, y'all wait here. I'm going to go kill that guy. Cool. Batman also shows up right about now, and so, he's like asking Mad Hatter what's going on, and that's when Mad Hatter starts getting these, like, transmissions from Film Freak. The Mad Hatter's devices, like, his communication devices are terrible, because, like, Batman can hear everything that the other guy is saying. I feel like you gotta, I don't know, there's better headsets you can get, even in 92.
Well, it's a hat. It's not form fitting.
Well, yeah, I mean, still, you just get yourself a little headset or something. You can attach it to the hat. I don't know. But Batman is like just kind of confused of like who's working together. Like, is Bane working with you? And Mad Hatter's like, I've never heard of this Bane guy. Who are you talking about? But Mad Hatter orders all of his puppet people to attack Batman, which I am wondering, like, didn't they already want to kill Batman? Why did you need to mind control them to do that? But it's okay.
I think he had other plans. I don't know.
Yeah, he probably did. I mean, he did have the other plans for Film Freak, of course. Yeah.
Which again, if he explained it to Film Freak, he might have done it anyway.
He might have. We see Bane kill Film Freak, though. I'm pretty sure Film Freak is just straight up dead now. Sorry, Film Freak. And then Batman at the tea party beats up everyone. I think Robin has to like save him from a gunshot. It wasn't super clear in the panels, but he's like, I hope you don't mind me getting involved and helping you for a second. But, you almost got shot.
Yeah. I like that Mad Hatter's sidekick, a monkey, attacked Tim.
Yes, it's good. This monkey is pretty good, too. I'm a big fan of this monkey. The last panel as well is just a great panel where Bruce is just like the most tired he's ever looked, where he's like, oh, there's so many other villains to take care of. And then Bane, yeesh. And this monkey is just going ooh, ooh, ah with a broken cup in the background. It's perfect. Perfect stuff. But yeah, not a particularly eventful issue here, but it does kind of lay the groundwork of, there's going to be a whole bunch of villains that Batman's got to go after, and I'm sure Bane's going to be looming in the background the whole time, and pretty much setting up the whole thing.
Yeah, there was a Spider-Man book like this called like The Gauntlet, where he had to go through like all of his foes to get to like some final foe, and I honestly don't remember anything about it, but I remember that it was like you're going to get a different villain every issue. Buckle up, guys.
Right.
I did get really thrown though by the end because it said like next in tech. The ventriloquist, and tech is supposed to be abbreviated for Detective Comics. I didn't realize this though. I thought because I saw the word ventriloquist, it was trying to spell out something in the ventriloquist's voice, like with like the F's becoming B's and stuff, and I was very confused. Because I saw like the word Zaz and amygdala, and I'm like, I do not know what this is trying to say in ventriloquist speak. But okay, it took me a little too many times to read that.
Is it amygdala or amygdala?
I don't know.
I think I know.
I think the brain part is said amygdala. I don't know how you say the villain's name.
Okay. I don't know.
It's not Queen Amygdala from Star Wars.
That's That's different. That's Amidala.
No, it's not that.
It's Natalie Portman.
Maybe they had it wrong in the movies. Maybe it's Queen Amidala. No? I don't know. But we'll find out next time. We'll look up
like
our,
a Leia situation where they didn't decide on the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's just a Midwestern mom trying to say the names of all of Luke Skywalker's friends.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. I know him.
Obi-Wan.
Kenobi.
Obi-Wan. All right, so I guess that's it for this episode. It feels a little short just because we watched 2 cartoons and only read 1 comic, but that covers everything. Next time we are, of course, continuing Knightfall. It goes back and forth between Batman and Detective Comics. So next up is Detective Comics number 659. And then for our main read, it is December, which is the spooky season. No, it can be spooky, I guess. I feel like December is even spookier than, I don't know, the cold is kind of like something spooky about it. But no, we're not going to read a spooky book. We're going to read a proper holiday book. I don't know where I'm going with. I'm just talking. I'm just rambling. We're in the DCU Infinite Holiday Special 2006, which I guess was kind of right after Infinite Crisis. And I have no idea what's in this. So who's written stories? Greg Rucka, Bill Willingham, Keith Champagne, Joe Kelly. I didn't write down all the names. We'll see them all next time. So yeah, a bunch of whole little short stories there, and then Detective Comics 659. We're on a little bit of a DC kick. We tend to read more Marvel, I think, most of the time, but right. I'm glad we're doing a little DC bit here. What else is there to talk about? Chris, how is Your Stupid Minds doing? Is Film Freak getting involved with this one?
No appearance from the Film Freak yet. But we did just recently cover Where the Crawdads Sing with a special guest, my sister, who told stories about reading the book for her book club before watching the movie, not for a movie club. So a lot of fun talking about a chick lit stuff that is not necessarily where our comic book readers live, but it was a lot of fun to talk about. I
was surprised that y'all covered that, because I for some reason thought it was supposed to be a good movie, because like I saw it at like Target. It looked like it got like a big like display for it. It made like a 140 million, I think, at the box office or something like that. It made a ton of money.
Yeah, it did well. I mean, considering it was a movie that I don't think any single man went out of their way to see.
No, it looked well. The poster looked like this is a Netflix movie. But then it made a lot of money, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe
because it's based on a Reese Witherspoon book club selection.
Hey, wow. Reese making that money. Get that cheddar, Reese. Good job.
Yeah.
So is the book good? Well, I have to listen to the episode and listen to what your sister has to say.
Yeah, I think her general answer was no.
Because y'all did another.
And then you made her watch the movie?
It was her idea. She came to me and said, let's cover this. It's free. And I was like, yeah, okay. Because not what we normally cover, but we had just done Lost World Dominion. So I was like, let's do more huge box office hits of 2022.
Right. Because y'all covered some other book, I think, a couple years ago that was like a real popular book and a real bad movie. It was like
Goldfinch.
Goldfinch. There we go.
Yeah. I don't know if the book is good. I think it's probably too long, but it can't be turned into a movie. With that, the movie would have to be like 7 hours long. So they made a 2.5 hour movie that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's Your Stupid Minds. I've also been playing the game Pentiment, which I give 1 million stars to.
I've heard great things about that.
From Obsidian Games. It's on Game Pass, or it's on Steam if you just want to pay money like I did. But however you want to play it. Check it out. It's very cool. As a early I have a history degree. It's so good. It's so accurate of a certain period in time. And I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a mystery kind of game that seems up my alley here. I do want to mention, I Googled Where the Crawdads Sing here, and it says it's got a 34% on Rotten Tomatoes, but 80% of Google users like this movie.
Yes.
Which is kind of a wide range.
What do the critics know? Again, Jurassic World Dominion, very similar story.
I've been playing a mystery detective-y kind of game as well, Hypnospace Outlaw. Did you play this one, Chris? Did you mention?
I have. I love that game.
It's such a great game.
Is that the one that looks like the old internet or old computer?
Yes.
Or something?
Yes.
Yeah, y'all talked to her about
moderating
Yeah, it's wonderful. I stopped some kids from harassing each other. I stopped a lady from putting up copyrighted images. Stopped some viruses. So much fun. all with like shitty 90s internet music and
nice. I feel I did forum moderation in that day. I don't know if I want to go back to that. Okay.
Wait till you get to the ending though. The ending will
I can't wait. I'm having a great time. Vince, I highly recommend this game.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Well, what's going on with you? I kind of skipped you there.
No worries. Nothing to like promote really. I have been playing Pokemon Scarlet with Bruce. He beat Pokemon Violet in like 4 days over the Thanksgiving break, as predicted. It's pretty good, but I'm taking a break right now because I'm getting ready for a Games My Mom Found where we're going to be covering Cthulhu Saves Christmas. It's a 6-7 hour turn-based RPG with the battle system of Cosmic Star Heroine. And that's
from the same people who made the like Cthulhu Saves the World and Cosmic Star Heroine, yeah.
And the Penny Arcade 3 and 4 RPGs. But yeah, it's Cthulhu Saves Christmas. It's dumb and fun, and it's a 6-hour turn-based RPG that's Christmas themed, so it's perfectly delightful.
Yeah.
So
speaking of great music, Cosmic Star Heroine. Oh,
yeah. It's got that same battle mode where like you have like the 8 moves that you have to use all of before you're allowed to use any other move, so you can't just keep spamming the same moves. It's a really cool system. I like it a lot.
Very good, very good. I promise I'm going to get to streaming again at some point. I don't know when it's going to work in my schedule. Plus, I'm playing too many games that don't stream well, which are like detective games, which you're just like, I'm going to sit in quiet contemplation, which isn't great.
I would look stupid on those shows. If you think I was stupid on this show and not seeing plot points coming a mile away, detective games are not good for that. So.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, great. I think that's everything for this episode here. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Chris, I love you.
Hold on, I got to read this thing. What's happening? Oh, no.
It's a dream. Does that wait?
No.
Are we in Chris's dream? Does that mean I got to record this podcast again? If
there's only one way out.
I don't know. Well, listener, hopefully this makes it to you somehow. We love you as well. Hopefully Chris wakes up. Chris, please don't try to kill yourself. I'm not entirely positive.
That was a bad message, by the way.
That was a bad message.
What?
If you think your reality is wrong and you're having active hallucinations, just jump off a clock tower. Fuck me.
We should end with that disclaimer. Great. Thanks for the lesson, Vince. See you all next time. Have a good night. Bye.